entirely 24/7. That means they won't be charging you for 24/7. That's very cost efficient. Consider applications you may be currently running on laptop or desktop or phone. Anything, suppose it's a Whatsapp or any other service, or you are watching Netflix, everything is on the cloud. Cloud has them also, or can potentially bring them to you. Most of the things, either they are available on the cloud, or they are planning to migrate on the cloud. Slowly and gradually everything will come up on the cloud only. Okay, so this is very basic on the cloud computing. We'll be moving to the next slide. Cloud service provider. Which are the companies providing cloud services? AWS is one of the biggest, one of the leading in the market. Apart from that, there are two more. One is Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud. I would say AWS is much more, you can say, leading in the market. Microsoft and Google, they started this cloud stuff little late. So when you are going into any cloud project, any company which is working on cloud, more chances are that you will be working on AWS. But in case you get a chance to work on Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud, nothing to worry about. The concept will remain same. Only the terminology is different. Like I was talking about the virtual server, right? In AWS, we call it as EC2. That stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. On Azure, we call it as VM, virtual machine. So basically the terminology is different, but ultimately the concept is same. So if you know about AWS and suppose you have to work on Azure project or Google Cloud project, you can easily work on those projects as well. Okay. So any doubt till this slide? Otherwise, we'll be moving to the next one.
No.
Okay, that's good. Moving to the next one, infrastructure as a service. In short, we call it as IaaS. As the name indicates, that the cloud service provider will be providing you infrastructure as a service. I was giving the example of the cab, right? Suppose you need the car for your vacation, so you can get that car for a few days and you can use it, and then you can return it back and they will be charging you for your uses. Same thing is there. Infrastructure is available and they will be charging you as per your uses. So first of all, no upfront cost for setting up the infrastructure. If you need 5 server, 10 server, 50 servers for your project, you don't need to buy that. Why buy machines when you can rent resources? That's much more cheaper option, and pay as per your uses. Just like your utility bills, your electricity, other things. The more you use, the more you have to pay. The lesser you use, you have to pay lesser. It provides basic storage and compute capability. That means every server will have the hard disk and the CPU. You can say that. So that means every system, every server will be capable of holding some data, as well as it will be capable of processing your data. Servers, storage system, network, switches, routers, etc. That means everything is available, because when you have suppose multiple servers, you need to connect those servers with each other, because multiple servers will be interacting with each other. That means networking is also required, right? So this cloud service provider, whether it's AWS or Google Cloud, they will be providing all these services. Infrastructure can be scaled up or down. Scaling up means that suppose today you have 5 servers and your project is going perfectly fine, but you are expecting that number of users on your platform. For example, some big billion days sale is coming on Republic Day, on Independence Day, on New Year, some sale is coming, and you're expecting that the traffic on your application, on your web, it will be going like 5 times. And you think that okay, the 5 server may not be sufficient, and I don't want to lose any customer. So during that day, during that 5 days sale, you want to scale up your infra. You are saying that in these 5 days, instead of 5 server, I want 8 server, or I want 20 servers only for this 1 week. After that, my sale is over. I'm still okay to have 5 servers only, right? So you can scale up or scale down as and when required. And it's auto scaling also available. That means as a user, you don't have to look into that like, okay, now the numbers of users are more, so let me add more server. Now the number of users are less, so let me remove few server. That is not your concern. The cloud service provider can monitor your traffic of the users. Accordingly, they can scale up or scale down the your infrastructure. Okay, multiple tenants can use equipment at the same time. That means suppose there's a very big server, but you don't want to use that capability. You are saying that okay, the system has like 32 GB of RAM, but my requirement is very simple. I just want 4 GB of RAM. Even that's fine. That means on the same server, multiple people are working. Your small project is running on that server, and you have to pay only for that. Some other user, some other company, they are also running a small project on the same server, and they will be charging for it. The point is, you don't have to pay for the entire server. The whatever things you are using, whatever amount of RAM, whatever amount of hard disk you are using, you just need to pay only for that. Okay, so we don't need to go line by line. Just on a higher side, the point is infrastructure is available, and you can hire it, you can take it on rent as per your uses. These are the different terminology I was talking about. In AWS we call it as EC2, in Google Cloud we call it as compute engine, and in Windows we call it as VM, virtual machine. That only the term, only the name is different. Ultimately all these things are nothing but virtual servers in the cloud. Okay, I would like to stop here. I would like to make it like more interactive session. If anyone has any point to add here, or if anyone is having any doubt on this slide, you can ask me. Okay, seems like there is no doubt. Moving to the next slide in that case. The next is platform as a service, PaaS. Now we are not talking about hardware. We are talking about the platform. Platform like where you can do your development. For example, suppose you are working on some Python project. So you don't need to install Python on your own personal system. You can go to the cloud and they will provide you a development environment where you can develop your code, you can edit your code, you can test your code, you can even deploy your code. That's mainly for developer. It provides inbuilt security, scalability, and web services interfaces. And it also allowed to connect to the application outside the platform. For example, you are developing an application, but that application needs to connect to an external database, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, right? So you can develop your application at the same time you can connect to the outer databases or any other service also. Few examples are given here: AWS Lambda and Google App Engine. You don't need to remember anything. As I said, tomorrow we'll be creating our trial account. What AWS Lambda is, how does it work? We will be doing this in our upcoming classes. There will be a dedicated class for AWS Lambda. So you don't need to remember, but just understand like platform as a service means that cloud service provider is providing you a platform where you can do your development work and you can test your stuff, you can deploy your stuff. And the next category is software as a service. That means the end product, the actual software is available as a service. That means you don't need to install and you can directly use it. For example, I would say Gmail is there, right? So Gmail app is there, that is on the cloud. You can use it. So software is available on the cloud for use. You can
Hi,
say,
hi, Neeraj.
yeah,
Like, is there any slides going on? We only see the introduction of the cloud computing.
really? I'm on a third, fourth slide.
We are unable to see the slides. Even few of our, I mean, candidates are also not able to see the. Yeah, now we can see the slides. We are in the SaaS,
Which
right?
slide? Yes, correct.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay, did you see these slides? Platform as a service.
No.
In
I've only seen the AWS introduction slide, and now the SaaS. Now I can see the yes. Now I can see the slides.
okay, you should have told me. I'm going to the multiple slides. Anyway, I will be sharing these slides with all of you.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
Let me go like this without the full screen so that at least you know which slides I'm currently on.
sure, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is software as a service, and as we discussed, like the end product is available, and suppose you are editing any image, right? Nowadays there are many websites available. You can go to a website and you can upload your photo, and you can add some like filters, add some frames, mix two photos, change the background. Ultimately there is a software which is helping you to edit your photos. And the good part is you don't need to download or install any tool for that. That means the software, the end product, is available as a service. You simply open some website and use it. Okay, so no need to pay as much upfront, cheaper and reliable. And there are few examples like Gmail is there, Dropbox is there, Microsoft Office 365. Earlier we used to download MS Office, correct, and we installing MS Word and Excel, PowerPoint on our system, and we were using it. But nowadays you don't need to install all this software. Those are available on the cloud. That means the actual software, the end product, which is for end user, that is available as a service. You can use it. Okay, now I will show you something which will help you to correlate these things. We started with infrastructure as a service, that is on the bottom, because definitely before you develop something, before you use something, you need hardware. So infrastructure as a service is on the bottom. On top of that, platform as a service, because on hardware you will be having some platform where you can develop your products. And on top of platform, the actual end product, that is software as a service. You can see on the right side, the bottom part is for administrator or maybe for infrastructure team. Next is for developer because they will be developing something, and the software as a service is mainly for the end user. There are some examples given on the left side. Again, I would say you don't need to remember. Just understand that everything is available on rent. You can say that. If you need hardware, they will provide. If you say, okay, along with hardware, I need some platform where I can do my development, they will provide that. Or if you say that, okay, I'm the end user, I'm not interested in development, and
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Hussein. I think there is some technical issue for Neeraj.
am I audible now?
Yes, Neeraj.
Yes.
Okay, sorry guys, I think there was some connectivity issue from my end. Let me start my screen again. Give me a moment. Introduction to cloud computing, right? Okay, so the current slide is benefits of cloud computing. Is that visible to everyone?
Yeah, Neeraj.
Okay, that's good. So till now, what we talked about is we talked about that you don't need to buy hardware. You don't have to worry about increasing the hardware or decreasing the hardware because everything will be taken care by cloud. And you can choose whether you want hardware or you want the platform or you want the end product, right? Now let's discuss more about benefits of cloud computing. If the industry is moving towards cloud, definitely there are a lot of benefits. That's why people are moving, right? So let's see. The first benefit is cost saving because no upfront cost for setting up the infrastructure. You can pay as per your uses. Sometimes you are getting a like just a you can say POC project, and it will take like 15 days, and you don't want to buy any uh, hardware for 15 days, so you can go for this model. That would be good. Requires fewer in-house IT resources to provide system support. That's another benefit. If you are managing your hardware by yourself, that means you need an proper hardware team, proper infrastructure team who will be managing your infra. Any server is down, any server is due for upgradation, there is any virus attack, there is any system patching is required, there is any networking failure, anything can be there, right? You need a dedicated team. But if you are going with cloud, that means that is not your concern. Which server is up, which server is down, networking is not working, you want more RAM, you have to upgrade the RAM, you have to upgrade the server, you have to apply the security patches to your system, or some new version of operating system is available, you have to upgrade that. That is not your concern. Cloud service provider will be taking care of that. That means you just need developers in your team. You don't have to worry about hardware or the hardware team. That's not required. Scalability and flexibility. You can start with a small deployment and grow to a larger deployment. That's also good. Initially you are launching a new website, new e-commerce website, and you are expecting that okay, there can be few hundreds of users per day, so you can go with a small server. But as and when your business is growing, your website is getting popular, you are getting more users on your website, and moreover on top of that you are planning some sale, some type of sale, right? So you're expecting that the traffic will increase on your website. As and when required, you can scale up. That means in the beginning you don't have to pay much for your infrastructure. You can pay less in the beginning as per your uses and keep on adding as and when required. Allows companies to use extra resources at peak times, big online sales or something like that, and they will be charging only for that. If your sale is going for 2 days, they will be charging extra money only for those 2 days. After that, your application, your e-commerce website will be back on the earlier capacity with like limited number of servers, not on that sale type of infrastructure. Reliability. Services are using multiple redundant sites because now we are dependent upon the cloud. That means it's cloud's responsibility to provide you the reliability. For example, your application is running in some region in uh, Asia Pacific region, your application is running perfectly fine. Suddenly some natural calamity, any war or anything happened, and your server is down. So now what? If your server is down in one region, AWS will provide you the same server, or I would say the same application will be running in a different region, in America region. That means your end user, they are still okay, they can still access your application, and they will never know whether the request is going to the India server, or the request is going to the US server, or it's going to the Europe server. They never know that. They open the website, it's opening, they will add some products in the bucket, they will make the payment, and it's done. It's completely transparent for them. They don't know what exactly is happening. Moreover, sometimes forget about the natural calamity and the disaster. Even in normal scenario, the companies prefer to have multiple servers in multiple geographic location to provide the best experience to the user. For example, I'm a user in India and I'm opening that website. So if my request will redirect it to India server, I will get a better experience because the latency is less. If you are in US and if you are opening the same website and suppose your request is coming to India server, that won't give you a good experience because that lot of latency, and you are clicking on something, page is not opening, and you will not be happy. What companies want is if a user from US is logging into my website, the request should be redirected to the US server or the nearby server. If someone from Europe is logging into the website, it should go to the nearby server. That's also possible. So you can rely upon the service provider. They will provide you the duplicate copy of your data as well as duplicate servers also. That means multiple servers running the same application across the geography. Okay. It can support business continuity and disaster recovery, as I explained. Suppose unfortunately one server in one region is down, that's absolutely okay. Your users will be redirected to another nearest server. So disaster recovery will be provided by the service provider itself. Maintenance. Cloud service provider take care of the system maintenance. I was talking about few things, right? Suppose new version of software is available, there is some security concern, you have to apply some security patches, or apart from that, suppose you have to upgrade the licensing cost and all this thing, right? Everything will be taken care by your cloud service provider. As a user, as a developer, the only thing you have to do is concentrate on your work, develop your code, test your code, deploy your code. That's the only concern you have. Okay, these are the benefits. If anyone wants to add anything to it, if you're having any points to add, or if you're having any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll be moving to the next slide.
Yeah, Neeraj, this is Shravani. I just have one question to ask. Like,
Yeah.
as of now, like I'm fine, but if I get any questions like later, how can I reach you out?
Okay, there are multiple ways. First thing is we may be creating a WhatsApp group. I will talk to the institute and you can post it there, because I'm in India, you guys may be in US. So, but accordingly we can reply so that you don't have to wait for the next class. Another thing is, definitely once I will explain something during the class, you will try on your system in your free time. You can note it down, and the next day, during the next day class, you can ask those questions. That's one thing.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Neeraj.
Okay. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So we talked about the benefits of cloud computing. But in this world, there is nothing which has only benefits. Definitely, everything comes with few limitations as well. And we should know about that also. We cannot blindly say that, okay, cloud is very good, cloud is great, and let's move to cloud. No, you have to understand what are the challenges with the cloud and accordingly take your decision. Sometimes, suppose mainly with banks, right? Banks has few concerns and they are not immediately ready to migrate their projects to the cloud. Why? There are some challenges. Let's try to understand that. The first thing is completely dependent on network. Yeah, that's good. When we used to install some software on our personal laptop, and suppose internet connectivity is down, you can still work, developer can still work. But at this point of time, there is nothing installed on your personal laptop, everything is on the cloud. That means if you have a 10 developers team and internet is down for few hours, that means your team will not do anything, they cannot do anything actually. So that's a dependency, you are completely dependent upon internet. If internet is down, you can't do anything. In case of network failure, the application is not accessible. And leakage of sensitive information, I was talking about this banking. If you go to the banks and you explain them that, okay, you have large amount of data and you are doing the analytics on your credit card, and you are doing everything on your local, why don't you move to cloud? That would give you better experience. Like, you don't have to worry about hardware, about the system upgrade, about the reliability, availability, all this thing. The bank will say, no, 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 there are benefits of cloud, we understand that, but we have clients secret information with us, very private information of client, and if I put everything on the cloud, suppose unfortunately some data is leaked from there, because definitely you are having some server in the one of the region in US, one of the region in Africa, in India. Suppose something is there, data is leaked somehow, then my entire data is lost. I cannot take that risk. I will not migrate to the cloud. I'm okay with my on premise, my, you can say, physical hardware are there in my bank's premises, and that's okay. That can be one of the reasons. Sometimes what banks do is they migrate to the cloud, but not completely. Only the analytical part where there is less critical information, they will migrate to the cloud. But still, there will be few things which will be completely core banking. They will say, no, we are okay with our in-house hardware and all, and we will not migrate to the cloud. The next is application integration. That means suppose in your office, your laptop is there, you are connecting to some database, and the database is available on your in your office only. So that is fine. Now the challenge is that your company is planning to migrate your project to the cloud, but they are not interested to migrate the database. So that is one of the challenge, because you are not migrating completely, you are migrating partially. But nowadays all service provider are providing the hybrid model as well. That means they will allow you that okay, you want to move your project but you don't want to move your database. That's fine. Your project will be running on the cloud, and that from cloud it will be able to connect to your database which is there in your office, which is not on the cloud, which is not on the AWS server. That is still okay. But yes, that is little complicated, because half of the stuff is in your office and half of the stuff is on the cloud, and they still have to interact with each other. There will be some networking, you can say, required, and along with that there will be security required. We do not want that anyone in the world they can access our database. We don't want that. Only the designated server, only that particular project on the cloud, only that project is allowed to access the database in very secure way. I still do not want to, you can say, leak my very critical information. So exchange info between on premise and cloud. Few things are on premise, that means on your local, in local office or somewhere, and few things may be on the cloud. How much do you trust the public cloud vendor? That's also one of the point. Suppose you are going with AWS, you can definitely trust them. It's very leading in the market. But suppose you are going with any other, there are major three cloud service provider: AWS, Microsoft, and Google. But suppose you are going with some fourth, fifth, there are many more there. And the point is, they may be charging you lesser, they may be cheaper, but do you trust them? Suppose you uploaded your entire project, entire data on their servers, and suddenly those cloud service provider fails, or there is some cyber attack on their servers, and there is an announcement that all the data available on that particular service provider is leaked. Then what you will do, right? So you have to choose, you have to think like how much you trust on that service provider, and accordingly you should go with those type of service provider. Monopoly of service provider, that's also one of the challenge which I'm also facing in my current project. Because once a service provider is providing a unique service which is not provided by any other provider, in that case they may charge you heavily. I will tell you in my current project scenario, I will not disclose the name, but I will tell you, we are using one cloud product, and that's very good, that's very easy to use, developers are very happy to use it, it's very configurable. That means in very less amount of time you can very easily complete your work. The challenge is every 6 months they are increasing the price. That's very challenging, that's not good, because we do not have any other option. We have to go with it. And what they do is, every 6 months in advance, like 1 or 2 months in advance, they will send an email that from 1st of January 2024 these charges will be increased like this. You have to choose by this date whether you want to continue or you do not, or you want to like stop your services. So yes, that's also one of the point, like if there is a special service they may be charging heavily and you have to pay for it. Okay, so friends, this was all about introduction to cloud computing.